Good morning. Good morning and welcome to First Parish in Concord on this beautiful December day. One of the very best things about being here in person is you get to feel the organ. Thank you, Eric, for that rousing prelude. It is wonderful to feel the organ. I want to welcome all who have chosen to attend in person this morning. It's wonderful to have you here. You don't know how much good it does us to see you here and to be able to preach to you in person, and even with masks on, to see the light in your eyes and the smiles behind those masks. We are glad that you are here this morning. For everybody who's joining us online, we know we are living through strange days. We are not done with COVID, and your being here from home also is a joy to us. So thank you for joining us for the live feed. And for everybody who's watching later on YouTube, we hope you enjoy the service as well. Teresa Hubler, I'm not going to get the name right. Sorry, Teresa. Teresa's our Zoom host this morning. We're glad that you are there with the folks online and taking care of them in the chat. We have accessibility things here. We have assist headphones in the back if you need those. They work really well. There's an elevator through the door up here to the front, and all of the restrooms have accessible stalls. We are glad you are here this morning. We are grateful to all of you for taking care of this community. To keep all of us safer, masks must be worn in the building. Also, social distance, please. Our worship leaders, choir, and teachers are all vaccinated. We strongly encourage vaccination for everyone who is medically able, as this is how we can care for ourselves and one another. To sing or not sing is your choice. The Concords will sing one anthem, and the congregation will sing the closing hymn. We are keeping the windows open to improve ventilation, so let's all just bundle up this winter as we need. If you're chilly sitting on the sides, just move to the center or move closer to the aisle and you'll be a little bit warmer. We would like to remind you to stay at home if you are not feeling well, even if you think it is just a cold. If you or a family member has tested positive for COVID, please call or email a member of the church staff. If there has been a COVID exposure at church, we will let the congregation know. Together, we covenant to reduce the risk of COVID by each doing our part. Call to worship this morning are words by Gary Kowalski. He says, with faith to face our challenges, with love that casts out fear, with hope to trust tomorrow, we accept this day as the gift it is, a reason for rejoicing. Let us worship together.
Good morning. Good morning. Each week we light our chalice to honor our history and our present manifestation as Unitarian Universalists. And today, in the season of Advent, we light our chalice to honor our Christian heritage, all of those stories that have been passed down to us through the years, and to honor and acknowledge that there are Christian Unitarian Universalists here among us and across our world. And so for our heritage and for who some of us are today, we light this chalice. The response words for our chalice lighting are on a slide or in your order of service. I invite you to recite them together now. O flame of our faith, open our hearts and fill our bodies and souls with persistent strength. Enliven our spirits and engage us deeply in this life of ours, this sacred, essential moment now. We have also in these weeks our Advent wreath. We lit last week our first candle for faith, and this week light our second candle for hope. Our Advent reading is from Howard Thurman. I will light candles this season, candles of joy despite all sadness, candles of hope where despair keeps watch, candles of courage for fears ever present, candles of peace for tempest-tossed days, candles of grace to ease heavy burdens, candles of love to inspire all my living, candles that will burn all the year long. Let's continue to settle in with our centering music. Our responsive reading is number 621 in the back of your gray hymnal, or it will be on a slide if you're joining online. Number 621, Why Not a Star, by Margaret Gooding. I'll read the Roman type and invite you to read the italicized, or probably just every other line if you're at home. They told me that when Jesus was born, a star appeared in the heavens above the place where the young child lay.
When I was very young, I had no trouble believing wondrous things. I believed in the star.
It was a wonderful miracle, part of a long ago story, foretelling an uncommon life.
They told me a supernova appeared in the heavens in its dying burst of fire.
When I was older and believed in science and reason, I believed the story of the star explained.
But I found I was unwilling to give up the star, fitting symbol for the birth of one whose uncommon life has been long remembered.
The star explained became the star understood, for Jesus, for Buddha, for Zarathustra. Why not a star? Some bright star shines somewhere in the heavens each time a child is born. Who knows what it may foretell? Who knows what uncommon life may yet again unfold if we but give it a chance?
For our second reading this morning, I have chosen a Mary Oliver poem. This is her poem, Heavy, from the collection Thirst. That time I thought I could not go any closer to grief without dying. I went closer, and I did not die. Surely God had his hand in this as well as friends. Still I was bent, and my laughter, as the poet said, was nowhere to be found. Then said my friend Daniel, brave even among lions, "It is not the weight you carry, but how you carry it. Books, bricks, grief. It's all in the way you embrace it, balance it, carry it when you cannot and would not put it down." So I went practicing. Have you noticed? Have you heard the laughter that comes now and again out of my startled mouth? How I linger to admire the things of this world that are kind and maybe also troubled. Roses in the wind, the sea geese on the steep waves, a love to which there is no reply. A small caveat before the sermon. When I talk about the Christmas story, I really am talking about a story. We have no idea what, if any, of this story ever happened. And the most important thing to remember is that it does not matter if it happened or not. It is a powerful story and one that has long endured. At its core, the Christmas story is a story of hope. It is a story of hope amid despair, and that is why we need it year after year. The gospel attributed to Luke begins the story by saying, about the time when John the Baptizer began his ministry, Caesar Augustus ordered a census to be taken throughout the empire. This was the first census when Quirinius was governor of Syria. Everyone had to travel to his own ancestral hometown to be accounted for. So Joseph went down from Galilee of Nazareth up to Bethlehem of Judah, David's town, for the census. As a descendant of David, Joseph had to go there. He went with Mary, his fiancée, who was pregnant. Now, we usually skip this part of the story, right? I mean, who's Quirinius anyway, and what was he doing in Syria? We usually don't really care about the setup for the Christmas story. We really don't care which Caesar ordered what census where, right? It's just sort of extraneous. We skip this part because we want to get to the amazing part of the story where a young family takes shelter in a stable and angels and shepherds visit the new baby. We skip the setup to get to the good stuff. But the setup is important. Without it, the Christmas story doesn't make any sense. Without the context into which Jesus is born, his birth is no more hope-filled than any other baby's birth. Without the context, there is little need for angels, shepherds, and traveling wise men. According to the author of the Gospel of Luke, at the time of the Christmas story, John the Baptizer has begun his ministry in Galilee. Now, Galilee is a remote area, far away from Jerusalem. It has no political power and even less economic importance. This makes it an ideal place for John to rail against the Roman government that controlled the whole Middle East at that time. John's voice was a voice crying in the wilderness, "Change your life, the kingdom of God is here." And the people were eager for John's message. Since Pompey's capture of Jerusalem 63 years earlier, they had lived under Roman rule and all that went with it. Masters of conquest, the Romans were generous with complicit local rulers and merciless with resistors, and they taxed the people heavily. At the time of the Christmas story, all is quiet in Jerusalem. The puppet King Herod answers to Caesar Augustus in Rome, and as long as taxes are flowing in Rome's direction, Augustus leaves Herod alone. But in the far-flung provinces, prophets like John the Baptizer can foster dissent freely. So the Christmas story plays out within the larger context of resistance to Rome. Both the authors of Luke and of Matthew know what they're doing by setting the stage for Jesus' birth. Both understand that in Jewish theology, the Messiah will come to topple an unrighteous empire. The Messiah will be the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Prince of Peace. And a person this powerful would have their life in danger from the very beginning. There would be powerful people who would not want hope to survive. We get even more clues to the Christmas story's context in the Gospel of Matthew. This is yet another part that they never do during the Christmas story, maybe the first time you've ever heard it too. Matthew says, after the wise men were gone, an angel showed up again in Joseph's dream and commanded, "Get up, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt. Stay away until further notice. King Herod is on the hunt for this child and wants to kill him." Joseph obeyed. He got up and took the child and his mother under cover of darkness. They went out of town and were well on their way before daylight. Herod, when he realized that the wise men had tricked him by not reporting where Jesus was, flew into a rage. He commanded the murder of every little boy 2 years old and under who lived in Bethlehem and the surrounding hills. Almost never do we hear the part of the Christmas story that resulted in other people's children being murdered. Yet the author of Matthew's Gospel felt it was important to include these details. In doing so, it becomes even clearer that Jesus is not born into a life of comfort free from danger. Luke and Matthew place him squarely in the path of powerful people with ruthless intentions. A helpless baby is born into a hostile world with only his parents to keep him from danger. Part of the reason that we need this story year after year is because babies continue to be born into a hostile world. They continue to symbolize hope amid despair to their parents and to us. We can all imagine a child being born into a family in Syria or Ethiopia. What chance does that child have in a hostile world? We can all imagine a child being born to a family in Haiti. What chance does that child have in a hostile world? We can all imagine a child being born to a Honduran family huddling on the Mexico side of our southern border. What chance does that child have in a hostile world? Jesus, the Christ child, can only be the hope of the world because he didn't have a chance in a hostile world either. The Christmas story is not supposed to turn out well. The forces against Mary and Joseph and their baby are too great. The new family has too little power. It has too few resources. It is too far from home. This story should end in disaster. It should be forgotten like the stories of so many other difficult births. The Christmas story's only redemption is that it does not end like it is supposed to. Rather than being crushed by cruel forces all around it, this new family makes a harrowing journey to another country and is saved. Rather than being caught, they somehow escape. And how many times have we escaped when we ourselves should have died? How often does despair come to the point of overwhelming us? How often might the weight of the world have crushed us? That time I thought I could go no closer to grief without dying, says Mary Oliver. I went closer and I did not die. How many times have we been so close to grief that we thought we would die? I certainly have been there. I have been there recently. We live in a cruel, unjust world filled with loss. Powerful people make decisions for us without our consent. Guns kill thousands yearly. Famine and disease spread indiscriminately. Mary Oliver's friend Daniel tells her, "It is not the weight you carry, but how you carry it. Books, bricks, grief. It's all in the way you embrace it, balance it, Carry it when you cannot and would not put it down. That the Christmas story unfolds amid terrible hardship and grief makes it possible for us to see ourselves in it. It is how we carry the weight of our lives that matters. In response to Daniel, Mary Oliver says, "So I went practicing. Have you noticed? Have you heard the laughter that comes now and again out of my startled mouth? I preach to you week after week, and you are so quiet in your pews. You thoughtfully and respectfully listen, though I wonder how you keep from shouting and flailing. There is so much wrong with the world. I wonder how I keep from shouting and flailing. There is so much wrong with the world. And I take comfort in the knowledge that a nice white lady poet from Cape Cod can shout so elegantly from her nature-filled poems. And I remember that there are many ways to shout and flail, that quietly shouting and flailing is sometimes all any of us have. We are not going to sob in the aisles, you and I, even if we should. We are going to quietly endure the coming Christmas season, hoping the new spike in COVID cases is not so bad. But what if we truly did look for hope amid despair in these dark days? Could we find it? Would we find it? What would it look like? How I linger to admire the things of the world that are kind and maybe also troubled, admits Mary Oliver. Roses in the wind, the sea geese on the steep waves, a love to which there is no reply. A forced census by a far-off Caesar, a wicked puppet king bent on murder, a dangerous journey to Bethlehem and another to Egypt, an unwed mother and her fiancé who hears angels. The Christmas story is full of despair, it is full of danger, it is full of betrayal. And yet, hope is born anew. Yet hope overcomes all obstacles. Yet hope grows in a family, in a town, in a nation, in the world. O come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell. Give comfort to all exiles here, and to the aching heart give cheer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as love to dwell. So be it. Amen. Turn to your neighbor, if you will, and talk for a minute or so. Where do you find hope amid despair? If you're online, just type your messages of hope into the chat. Where do you find hope amid despair?
the new day, new day. I will love you more than me and more than yesterday. If you can but prove to me you are the new day, send the sun in time for dawn, let the birds all hail the morning. Love of life will urge me, say, you are the new day. When I lay me down at night, knowing we must pay, odds are that this night might stay yesterday. Thoughts that we as humans small could show words and end it all, lie around me where they fall before the new day. One more day when time is running out for everyone, like a breath I knew would come, I reach for the new day. Hope is my philosophy, just needs days in which to be. Love of life means hope for me, born on a new day. You are the new day.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Concords, for offering your gift of music as part of our ministry this morning. Friends, we come together in community each week, and there is always space for you to tell the story of your life, to tell the stories of what has been hard or what has been good, and to welcome care from one another, to welcome prayer from one another. This week, none of you have opted to do that, but that is okay. I still offer you my care and my prayers, and I welcome your sharing anytime you would like. At the same time, I know that you do carry joys and sorrows in your heart. You carry people who you are thinking of and who might like to be lifted up this morning in prayer and meditation. And so I invite you to call their names aloud now, whether in our sanctuary, in your home, or to type them into the chat so that we can all hold one another together. And as we are led in spirit of life, I invite you to hum along if you would like.
Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move
Will you pray with me? Great love, which needs no reply. Great love, help us to tell all of the parts of our stories, to honor the full context in which we live. Help us to tell all of the parts of the story of our world. There is so much wrong with this world, so much wrong in this world. Violence and injustice, systems of oppression, this web in which we are entangled. There are times when we have been harmed and times when we have done harm. Help us to tell all of the parts of this story, and also the parts where we find hope. The stories of people who are organizing and rising up together. The stories of people who are seeking justice, generation after generation, from thousands of years ago till today, who are bending the arc of the universe, who are creating the world of which we dream. Great love, be with us and help us to tell all of the parts of our story, our own lives, our personal stories. The times when we feel crushing grief and despair, when it is too much and all we can do is wail. Times of betrayal. Moments of fear and sadness and anger, times when we have been hurt, times when we have hurt another, those parts of ourselves of which we feel shame. Help us to tell all of the parts of our story. Give us the strength from our own lives, those moments of escape, those moments when we have been spared or when we have found a way. Help us remember those times when we found hope in the midst of when there was no place we thought there would be hope, but hope came anyways. Those forgotten moments, as well as those stories that we have told again and again. Let us notice and let us tell all of our stories. Moments of belovedness, moments of connection, moments of faith in what would come next. Help us to hold fast to hope and look forward to the new day. Let us abide in this fullness in all of the parts of our story, but especially holding fast to the sensation of hope in a moment of meditation and personal prayer. And you may abide in this stillness as we are led in the song, Find a Stillness, and hum along if you would like.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
I would like to invite Liz Rust to come up and light the social action candle.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Liz Rust, and I'm here to talk about the Secret Santa program. Once again, First Parish has the opportunity to spread some holiday cheer through our Secret Santa program. We've been doing this for many, many years, and in the past, we are collecting donations to provide gifts to people served by the Elliott Center, the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministries Believe in Success program, and the Walden Street School. The Elliott Center Human Services is based in Lexington, and it's a private, nonprofit human services organization providing a continuum of care to the most vulnerable populations throughout Massachusetts. Our gifts go to the clients served through their Concord office. Believe in Success, based in Boston and run through the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministry, is a trauma-informed workforce development program for survivors of domestic violence. The mission of the program is to provide a set of skills that enable participants to be successful in taking their next step in life, whether that's entry-level work, a skill-based training program, or 2 or 4 year college program. The Walden Street School is located here in Concord down the street and serves adolescents between the ages of 12 and 22 who have struggled with significant and chronic past trauma or mental illness. Typically, students cope with emotional dysregulation, at-risk behaviors, behavioral issues, academic issues, and at times psychosis. Our gifts go to the young women not going home and staying in the school over the holidays. Like last year, we're collecting Visa cards, and these cards are widely available at any CVS, grocery store, or other like place. While there's an added charge for the purchaser, there are no fees for the recipient. Just buy the cards and drop off or mail to the First Parish office. The deadline's next week, and we have still ample opportunity to fill some of the cards. We're looking for 70 cards, so there's plenty of time to get yours in. Please consider this easy way to make a difference to others in our community and served by our partner at UU Urban Ministry. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. I hope folks will participate in the Secret Santa program. I want to let you know that in December we are sharing the offering plate with Dignity in Asylum. So all this month you'll have an opportunity to put some money in the plate when it comes your way, or send a check to the church, or donate online to support them. Dignity in Asylum supports asylum seekers during the complicated and often heart-wrenching process of applying and awaiting for asylum. Through their work with asylum seekers and those who have been granted asylum, they have met amazing, caring, engaged, and incredibly courageous people who, to them, often embody the very best and most miraculous things a human being can be. So as the ushers come through, I invite you to give generously to an offering which will support both the work of First Parish in Concord and Dignity in Asylum. As we begin to close our service today, I'd like you to stick around, and I invite you to come outside for coffee hour. I know it's chilly, but it's sunny and warm out there. There's nice hot drinks out there. Stick around, chat with your friends a little bit. If you're interested in talking a little bit more about the themes of the service, the Worship Sharing Circle will be meeting. And which room did you pick, Dana and Jim? The one in the far corner up there. So go up the stairs and you'll see the Emerson room, and then just keep going to the right. You'll find the Worship Sharing Circle up there. We have our Blue Holidays service this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m., and it'll be live in the Parish Hall if you would like to join in person, or it will also be on Zoom. So that's 7 o'clock on Tuesday. This morning we have the holiday memorial wreath here. It'll stay up through the season. If you'd like to tie a ribbon to it in honor of someone that you're remembering who has died, please come and do that. You're welcome to participate in that. The Welcome Re-Welcome class is having a second session this afternoon, so all of you who were in that the first time, definitely show up this afternoon. And if you missed last week and want to join this week, just look in FP Weekly for that Zoom link. Just a good reminder that FP Weekly has lots of things in it. There's also a new document out named Celebrate, which many of you got. I realized we should have made a few more copies for us this morning. If you want a copy of that, we can get you one, or we'll have more next week. At our welcome table, Liz Rust and Jeff Clannon will greet you and talk to you. If you're new to the church, be happy to answer any questions you have. And our standing committee representative this morning is Virginia Taylor. Where are you, Virginia? Just give a wave. You can see Virginia out at coffee hour. And now, since it is Advent, let's sing the most Advent-y song we can. Let's turn to number 225 in the gray hymnal. We'll stand and sing out, O come, Emmanuel. Number 225, sing it like you mean it. reason that Advent comes at the darkest time of the year. There's a reason that solstice comes then, and Hanukkah, and Diwali, and Kwanzaa. We need hope. We need light this time of year. And it is a metaphor for the rest of the year, the rest of the times when we find ourselves lost and without hope, knowing that there is light shining in the eyes all around us, emanating from the hearts of those who love us, that we are never alone, and we in fact can find hope wherever we are. Let us say the first parish benediction, saying, "Go out into the world in peace, have courage, hold on to what is good, return to no person evil for evil, strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, honor all beings." Please come outside to coffee hour or to the worship sharing circle.